Hi, my name is Frederick Fong and this is my cycling mechanics tips video. This will delve into some basic tips that you as an experienced or inexperienced rider can take from and understand more about your bicycle. We will be using my road bike for demonstration. Hope you enjoy. Here are all the different tips that I've given. Please click on a specific one if you want to know more about it. This is my road bike, a Cannondale 2016 CAD 12. This is equipped with an aluminum frame and a front carbon fork, and it has Shimano 105 group set all around. It's also equipped with Shimano 105 pedals, and this is my second road bike. The first basic procedure that any cyclist should know how to do is removing their front and rear wheels. In this case, hold the bike in between your legs and open the QR skewer outwards, and spin it anti-clockwise, while the opposite side should be spun anti-clockwise as well. Until there is enough clearance for the fork to be released, release the quick release for the brakes and pull the bike upwards. The front wheel should be released. Putting back the wheel typically makes the brakes misaligned. Before popping back the quick release for the brakes, align the distance between each brake pad to the rim to be equal. Then secure the quick release for the brakes. Next is the stem faceplate. Ensure the faceplate bolts have a gap that is equal amongst all 4 bolts and is torqued to spec. Refer to Allen keys in my toolbox section for more information on Allen keys. This is how you check for knock in the headset. The headset is located above the fork and connects to the stem and handlebars. To check for knock, sit on the top tube and secure the front wheel with your 2 legs. Then shift the handlebars left and right and feel for knocking movement. An additional way to check for knocking is holding the back of the bike up, removing the front wheel, and as in the video, put the handlebar to one side and release it and see if the movement is restricted. It's always a good idea to check the brake cable length. Make sure it has a 1mm to 2mm clearance. In addition to brakes, check your tire pressure. Tire pressure in bikes tend to be lost a lot quicker, and if you haven't ridden in a week or more, check it and make sure you pump it to the manufacturer's specification. However, there is leeway in PSI depending on road conditions. The manufacturer's specification is probably listed somewhere in the tire, and refer to it to have a general idea of what PSI you should pump your tire to. Checking your shifting system is important to your bicycle. If the gears are not functioning properly, it could skip a gear, or even worse, the chain could accidentally shift onto the hub and cause you to crash. Check chain tension by shifting through all the gears on the bike on both chain rings in the front. Additional checks are to check the high and low limit of the rear derailleur. You check this by shifting to the smallest gear on the cassette and check the derailleur pulley cog lines up with the last gear on the cassette. This is the high limit. For the low limit, it is vice versa by checking the derailleur pulley lines up with the biggest gear on the cassette. To adjust the high and low limits, turn the high and low limit both ways and adjust accordingly until it lines up. This is the barrel adjuster. This is when the chain is skipping gears and could be one of the reasons why the shifting system is not working correctly. To tighten the cable tension, turn it anti-clockwise. To loosen it, vice versa. It is also important to inspect your cassette. Check that all the gears are assembled in the right order and the spacers are properly inserted. Check the teeth and see if it is worn down. The cassette can affect the performance of the shifting system and can also affect the life of the chain. This is the front derailleur, responsible for shifting between the 2 chain rings. The sticker in front of you indicates a 1mm gap between the derailleur and the chain ring. Ensure that is no more than 1mm. The high limit and low limit adjust the contact of the small big gear and the big small gear to the front derailleur. Adjusting the front derailleur is a more complicated procedure, and I would recommend bringing it to a shop or referring to Park Tools' Big Blue Book of Cycling. A quick and easy check, make sure your saddle is parallel to the top tube of your bike. Next, check that the alignment of the stem is relative to the fork. If not done, the front wheel could look slightly tilted to one side. Another good thing to check for is BB knock. BB knock can cause a loss of power transfer to the wheels. Hold the bike in place and hold both crank arms and shift it left and right. Listen and feel for knocking. If there is nothing, then your bottom bracket should be fine. One of the more common maintenance procedures is replacing or lubricating your chain. Your chain can be worn down by many other mechanical issues as well as just regular use. Replacing your chain when needed can greatly improve the power transfer and shifting performance of your bicycle. Use the chain tool to check for wear. If it is above 75%, it needs replacing. Another way to determine this is to try both sides, and if the pin drops into the chain, that means the chain needs replacing. Next is just a general inspection of your bicycle frame. Most frames typically have warranty on it, and especially for carbon frames, it is important to check for cracks after a crash. A crack can permanently damage the frame and is deemed unsafe to ride. Other materials can suffer similar conditions, but materials like iron can be repaired. This is my toolbox section. Please click on one of the tools to learn more about it. This is a high pressure inflation gauge. Insert this into the tire and then insert the pump into the valve for a more accurate inflation of the tire. This is Park Tool's more specific brush to clean your chain and your bike in general. Any brush will do as long as it has good bristles. Not a commonly used tool, but this is a tool to remove bottom brackets with 16 notches. The side with the bigger side is inserted onto the 16 notches and you twist with another side to remove the bottom bracket. This is a tire lever. This can really help you assist in removing the inner tube and the tire of the wheel if you need to replace an inner tube in the case of a puncture. This is especially helpful, but it is not always necessary in removing a tire. These are double cone wrenches. They have a variety of sizes from 13 to 18 millimeters. These are generally used to service your hubs and free hubs. Now, it's always good to have lubricant at hand. Lubricant is very important for keeping your chain in check, and it's also good to have degreaser to come up with that. Every time you need to re-lube your chain, make sure you apply degreaser to remove all the gunk before you apply the lubricant, or else the lubricant will just start attracting a lot more gunk and all the dirt will still stay in the chain, wearing the chain even more. Now, this is an optional thing that's part of the Park Tool AK2 kit, and it makes it easier just to install onto the chain and just run it through, ensuring a more clean chain. But with the lubricant and degreaser, you can make do. Depending on your weather situation, maybe you can consider getting wet and dry lube depending on when you're riding and what season and what weather you're in. It can damage the nut of the bolt as well, so make sure you turn it carefully. If you're in need to tighten your spokes really quick, or you need a quick adjustment of your spoke tension, these are the two things that you'll have, the red one and the black one, if you buy this Park Tool AK2 Advanced Mechanics set. With this set, it comes with two spoke keys, and these two have the same functionality. The only difference is the size. The red one is slightly smaller, and the black one is slightly bigger. Depending on what you prefer and whatever fits your hand the best, you go with whatever you like. Now, having a chain whip is important if you need to remove your hubs. Using a chain whip in accordance with the wrench to remove the hub is very important. A chain whip will help lock on to the cogs to secure the wheel so you can easily remove the hub by just turning the wrench. If you were just to use the wrench on your own, the wheel would keep moving and you would never make any progress. A good chain whip is important, and these need to be replaced from time to time as these chains wear. To replace it, you can just remove the chain links and use any old chains that you have. Cable cutter. This is for adjusting your brake cables or cutting new cables, brake cables, and gear cables. As mentioned in the video, make sure you have somewhat of a 1 to 2 millimeter clearance before you cut the wire to put the cap on. Now, it's important to have screwdrivers. You don't need Park Tool specific screwdrivers, but make sure you have a plus and minus screwdrivers with the small and large variants. This is for adjusting your indexing for your rear and front derailleur. Not only adjusting cable tension will change how the shifting feels, but you need to have these screwdrivers to adjust the high and low limits as shown in the video. If you need to adjust the handlebar to ensure that it's equal, make sure you have a nice set of Allen keys. Make sure you have a wide range of millimeters so you can make sure that the Allen keys will fit properly. To ensure that the Allen key fits properly, try playing around with different sizes until you get the one that fits. Remember not to force it when you're turning the Allen key. Pedal wrench. These are very important for quickly and easily removing your pedals. If you need to install new pedals or if you need to remove pedals for re-greasing, then this is very important. There are alternate methods to remove pedals depending on how the pedal is installed, such as using Allen keys, but in most cases using the pedal wrench is the easiest way to remove the pedal.